You're listening to the all-new The Candice Dormon Show on Digital Stream Radio.
So, Thanksgiving is canceled, but we can still have a good time. We'll talk about it. You're listening to The Candice Dormon Show, a weekly podcast about business, life, and motherhood. Hello, hello, hello!
Hello, lady. Look at you. You are a sight for sore eyes, my dear.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm feeling spicy today because I got a fresh new do and I've got some fancy jewelry going. And this I feel like I am giving lots of 1998 like SWV Tony Braxton vibes, right?
I was like, I'm living for it. I'm living for all of that.
Just God, I love it. I totally just dated myself, and I think it's so fun to see what people's like when you do things like this, which is just I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. When you think about the best times, right? It's usually sort of maybe around high school or like when you were feeling all emo in your like late middle school to early high school years. And you just so quickly and so easily fall back into whatever was cool that time. And so I definitely feel like I'm dating myself because Tony Braxton, SWV, Total, Janet Jackson, like it was a whole vibe with the short hair, the red lip, the black turtleneck. Listen,
you just reminded me, Janet Jackson, the Velvet Rope Tour. Oh my God.
And she used to do her moves, right? She's just like, it would be like a skin tight shirt with like with baggy. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. But amazing. It was a good time. That was my favorite. And I can't believe that was 20 years ago. It's almost 25 years ago.
Like when I think of 20 years ago, I think of 1980. And
right.
It's not. It was 2000.
That's almost 40 years ago is 1980.
Right.
Insane.
It is 40 years ago. I'm like, I cannot.
Oh my God. Good times. Well, I'm really happy to be back this week. We took a break last week, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's awesome that we had. Let me say this. I am very proud of the long run. We went like 100 episodes nonstop, right?
Right.
And even through the start of the pandemic. And I'm absolutely super proud of us for that. I also am proud of us for taking a break now when we need it, right? Like the last thing I want to do is come on air when I'm not really feeling it, or like push you to come on when you're not really feeling it, because that's not good for anybody.
Well, I think for me, I was just exhausted, right? And I feel like your listeners, for both, the Candice Dormon Show and for the latter Breezy Moms podcast, should understand that this election was exhausting. It really was. And so not only did we not get the results right away and we had to wait like 5 days, I didn't sleep for 5 days.
It's true.
And when Thursday came and you were like, are we doing this? I'm like, aren't you rebranding anyway? I'm tired. I need a break. I need to go to bed. And even then, like I took a nap. I remember I took a nap on my couch and I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning and stood up till 5 o'clock in the morning again, watching to see if anything would change, knowing very well that it wasn't.
Nothing would.
But what are you going to do? Here we are.
Well, a quick shout out to my cousin Jaquise, who's watching. Thanks, girl.
Hi, Jaquise.
I'm really leaning into my Tony Braxton vibe. So thanks for noticing. I appreciate you. And thanks to everyone who comes every week and checks in on me when we don't record. I absolutely appreciate all of you. And I'm really thrilled to be back. Now, before we jump into, there are a couple things to talk about tonight. So let's do a couple housekeeping things before our regular How Are the Boys, okay?
Oh,
so
sure.
Number one is I wanted to make sure to give a shout out to folks who have been on our sister show, the Amplify Showcase, which was a new show that we launched probably about a month ago, because I got super excited about all the amazing small business. I hate to call them small, but I got super excited about all of the new ventures that so many of my friends and new friends that I have met through, you know, being an entrepreneur and launching a small business. And I wanted to find a way to support, right? And support in a way that I know best how to. And so of course that was, hey, why don't we just launch a whole new show, right?
Right.
And so because I don't have anything else to do. So I just want to make sure that I give a quick shout out to my dear friends who've been on the Amplify Showcase, which you can find on YouTube. It's easy to find from this show if you're catching it on the replay on YouTube. The link is in our channel bar. But anyway, in the last couple weeks, we have had our friend Keisha from Cam's Closet with her amazing athletic wear is on. Do you remember the athletic wear? Zaya, that's what it's called. And so she's got some really cool stuff that just came back in stock recently. So definitely check her out. We also have our friend Janae. Janae, why is the name? It's from the desk of Joey Washington. Why can't I remember her name? It's, oh my God, I feel terrible. Okay, I'm going to fix it in post. From the desk of Joey Washington is still on sale. Janae Marks. Oh my God, I'm thinking too many things. Okay, let's start again. Janae Marks and her book From the Desk of Zoe Washington is on sale. You can catch it on Amazon. Let's see, who else? Oh, we have an episode that hasn't even come out yet. This is called Watch This, and I like to think of it as arm candy. Look at how fancy. Do you see how fancy
those are absolutely gorgeous. I do have to say.
I'm wearing 3 of them, but I like to just like zhuzh them all together. And so like, oh, they're also watches, but first they're just fancy. They're super fancy. So
they're gorgeous.
Today with me, we have my friend Neil Parisi, and watch this.
It's been a wonderful experience so far.
These amazing watches that you make yourself. Check me out. Check me out.
But I wanted to create something that was functional, unique, useful, and beautiful.
So if you are looking for gifts, it is early in the season before you head out to your regular places where you usually get your gifts from. Definitely consider shopping small and shopping with a entrepreneur, someone who has put all of their blood, sweat, and tears into their business. Definitely check them out on the Amplify Showcase and show them some love, and your people are gonna love it. I love it. Okay, so I wanted to make sure to get that out of the way before I got distracted. Okay. So, Tom, don't you have a question for me?
I do. I honestly, so this is the first time that I'm actually in the at Candice Dormon show, right? And so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if there was going to be a format, if we were following the same format. But sure, I have a question for you.
I'm listening.
How are your amazing boys?
Okay, the boys are really good. The boys are really good. And for the most part, the show is mostly the same. We have already, I had already pivoted in some of the things that we've been talking about. And so it's not a new show. It's the same me. It's the same you. We just got a new name. So that
it just looks so fly. So I was just like, you know.
Listen, I can't help that. Okay.
I know.
I can't help that. Okay, so the boys are really good as usual. Let's see. Today we're going to talk about Lincoln first because today was the first like really cold day of his program. He's in a program that's outside. And so of course, like the Bronx girl that I am deep inside, I was like, oh, how are you going to make it through the day in 30-degree weather? So I had him all bundled up, and he basically looked like something from Peanuts. Is that Charlie? You know, Charlie.
Like a stuffed marshmallow?
Yes. It just ridiculous. And he was looking at me like I was the worst. But I was just like, listen, you don't know how you're going to feel out there. And so you should just believe me when I say put on your hat and your gloves and your scarf and and an extra set of gloves and your snow pants and another shirt. I mean, it was a little bit overwhelming, but
I mean, he is rather tall, and he's also very skinny, and so therefore, you know, putting all these layers on him is needed because, you know, the skin is not enough.
I know. Except my boys tend to run hot. And so by the time I picked him up, he still had on the snow pants, but he had taken off the jacket. They went on a hike. And so of course if you're hiking, you're gonna like work up
Right.
a little bit of a heat. So but I just keep telling him, listen, and I sound like my mom when I'm saying it. I'm like, listen, it is easier to take off the jacket than to like conjure one up in like I don't want to come here in the middle of the day, right?
Right.
And you don't want to get left behind in the middle of the day because you're not dressed properly. So just take the damn jacket. That's just the whole story. I don't sometimes I'm like, I don't have to discuss this with you. Just put it on because I said put it on.
And that's it.
It's
Because I'm mom.
it's I know, I know. And because I love you. I'm not telling you anything bad,
And
right? It's
because I
not
said so.
exactly. I try really hard not to say that, but it's in my head. In my head I'm screaming. But after like the third explanation, I'm like, "Listen, I don't have to do this and I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to talk about this anymore."
So
But
obviously he wore it and then he went
yeah.
and did his
And then he
thing
was
and then,
fine.
then he was fine.
And then
I
he
gotta
was
change the
fine. He
lighting,
was
girl.
fine.
I look a little red today. Why?
I don't know.
There you go. Much better.
Okay. That is better.
Mm.
And then Emery is great. He is such a little superstar. I don't know what it is about him that is just like a shining light, even when he is like serving you the business. He's just awesome. And last night he slipped and fell and like hit his lip. And so he had a little like a swole front lip right here, the little like pointy part. And so it changed the way he was talking and his whole face looked a little bit different. And 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 so it was so sad because like it's so sad when they get hurt. He wasn't really hurt, but like it's still sad when he gets hurt. And when I picked him up from school today, he looked like himself again and I was like, "Oh, there you are. You're back." It was fantastic.
And how
It
old is
was
he
really
now?
good. He's 4.5. I mean, he
Lord have
turned 4
mercy. Right.
in
He was 2
July.
when we started with
I
the Breezy Moms
know.
podcast. Time
Little
flies.
itty bitty baby. I
I
know, he's a
know. He
big.
was.
I'm laughing because Jackie says the mom card trumps everything. And yes, it does. Yes, it does. Although, I try, the new fango, you know, new millennial parent in me is trying not to pull it too often because, we all remember being shut down with the because I said so. But sometimes it's appropriate. I just feel like
Seriously. Seriously. So
so,
I want to just quickly point out to you guys, if you see me doing this, it's
mhm.
because my computer's down here and Candace, in order to see what she's saying, I have to look down. So I don't want you to think that I'm just
Oh,
doing other things. I have to look down to see her and to see your comments. So
right.
oh,
I
thought I'd
love it.
just
I
put that
love
out
it.
there.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So the boys are good, and James is really great as usual. I don't know if you've noticed, I have a little bit of a different background. We're doing a
Yes.
little bit of a musical chairs here in the house. To Sorry, I'm laughing at Jakia. She says as long as you try the other way first, which is the giving them a chance. I'm not sure.
Right. Not because I said so. Let me
Right?
try something
Yeah.
else first, and then I might
Hmm.
be like, no, now it's because I said so.
Yes, because you ask too many questions. But that's the thing is that like my Lincoln, I give him a little bit of space and then he just keeps going. And I'm like, listen, I tried and you took it too far. So now it's over. Right? Like now
Right.
it's because I said so. I think 3 questions is enough for, one train of thought. I just can't handle anymore.
Especially when we're like bombarded with questions all
All
the
day
time.
long.
Like a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to physically ask someone a question like, hey, how are you? What are you doing? Why do you do that? How often do you do that? A lot of people don't realize that subconsciously we're being asked questions and being asked to evaluate things with everything that we do. Every time we
Mhm.
open our phone and you open Facebook and you go to watch a video, a commercial comes on
Mhm. Do you want
asking you
this?
questions, right?
You like
When you
this?
turn on your TV and a commercial comes on asking you questions, you have,
Yeah.
for example, commentators on news shows that are asking their viewers questions. So questions are being
Mhm.
thrown at you 24/7. I mean, you could have a dream and still have questions. So don't mind me if I want to, like, yeah, I'm not in the mood for questions right now, because we literally are bombarded 24/7 in the age of information. When we think about how we communicate via social media, via like other platforms, like for example the video platforms, Skype, or when you think about FaceTime, you're being engaged mentally almost the entire time you're awake, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, and probably more. And so you are subconsciously being questioned 24/7 pretty much. And so it's okay to say, I don't want to hear questions right now, because we're entitled to that.
Yeah, the problem is that your own children don't give two shakes about how you feel, about how long the day has been, about how many questions have been asked. They don't care at all. They're like, yes, but what about me right now? So, but yeah, that's exactly why parents, definitely, I think you get to a point where you're just like tapped out. Right. And you might not even realize it, because there's some like subconscious stuff going on, exhaustion. I look at my phone, as soon as my eyes open, the phone is like right in arm's reach. And every time I try to fix that, I somehow end up getting it back in the middle of the night. So
right. Like I'm not even gonna lie. I don't put my phone down. I'm in the bathroom with my phone.
I know.
I don't lie. It's you can't even take a dump without taking your phone with you. That is a sad story. Like, before phones, what did we do? You grab a paper, you grab a book, you do something that you can entertain yourself with. But like, we're literally attached to these things, right? Like, all the time. And you're right. I mean, I dock this right next to my bed. And in the morning, when the alarm goes off, the first thing I pick up is my phone, pop on my watch, walk out of my room to then start my day. It's crazy.
I know. And if we're thinking about parents, we're unconsciously teaching these same like terrible habits to our kids. Lincoln just dropped his tablet in the toilet because he started taking the tablet into the bathroom. And then we had to tell him, dude, you can't do that. Not only because of the tablet, but because you can't, as a 6-year-old, be sitting on the toilet for 45 minutes.
Right.
Like, you're going to be a 6-year-old with hemorrhoids. Like, it's just not going to be a good look. So, it's one problem to the next. Yeah. The phone is part of my family. It's difficult. It's difficult.
It's the truth.
And, it's an interesting place to be when we are in the business of making content, right?
That's
like,
right.
We want people to see our content, and we want them to see it when they have time, whenever that is. So we're, contributing to this. So sorry, not sorry. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I think the point that I was trying to make is that forgive us when we don't text you right away. Because, this is exhausting. A lot of people don't realize producing, recording, post-production, creating content, creating things is exhausting. And so
even when you love it.
So don't blame anyone if they don't, respond to you, even though they have the phone right in your hand. It's like the act of engagement enough is just exhausting when all you've been doing is communicating all day long. And so have a little compassion for those that don't reply right away. I mean, if they don't talk, if they don't reply for days, then that's a problem. But, a couple of hours, that's acceptable. Don't get mad. It'll happen.
It's an interesting. I know this isn't where I intended for the conversation to go, but it is still important, because one of the things I've realized, and why I'm actively. I don't know if I'm actively, but one of the things I've realized is that I'm starting to get motion sickness from scrolling, and so it's the kind of thing where you think you've had a long day and you just want to relax, and you'll just scroll. And I find that the more I think about it, the more I realize that I'm not actually relaxing by scrolling, right? And I actually start to feel a little bit woozy. Like, I start to feel motion sick, and then I think I should put this down, but let me just check one last time, right? And even that is just like enough to put me over the edge. So definitely take care of yourself, your eyes. I got some I guess I didn't bring them up today. I got some blue light glasses a couple weeks ago, which are kind of helping, although I am not using them. I'm looking at the light in the nighttime and I don't have the glasses.
Right.
So that's not really helping. So take
And it's
care of
all
yourself.
exactly. But it's also worth noting that, you know, if it wasn't for technology, I don't think that a lot of us would be sane right now in the midst of this pandemic. So it's a catch 22.
Yeah.
They're very useful to have a phone, to have a computer, and be able to communicate with the world. The ability to communicate internationally and just in distance in general is far better than it has ever been. But not
Mm-hmm.
only that, it has also afforded us a lot of opportunity to really shift when shift is needed,
Mm-hmm.
so that students can continue to learn, you know, so that we can check in visually, see
Keep
our
working.
parents and things like that. And so while they are a distraction, they're also a necessity in today's world. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
just learn some balance. Have some
Yeah.
balance, have some rules, try to stick to them. It's okay if you stray, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, just try to, you know, have
We
some,
all stray.
what do you call that? Have some structure. And I think
Mm,
that'll help.
that'll help. That'll help. So, I mean, I feel like this is it's all related because we say it's related, right?
Right.
It's just it's how our brains work.
It is what we
What I
say it is.
Right, it is what we say it is. But it's kind of a little bit related because I was thinking about work, right? I'm always thinking about work now as an entrepreneur. When you're launching something, a new idea, anything is like a brand new thing. It's all consuming, right? If it
Right.
wasn't, then you probably wouldn't even be doing it. But one of the things that has come up in many different ways for me over the last week, which I wanted to make sure that I talk about tonight is um is getting comfortable with your new identity as an entrepreneur. Okay, so I don't want to sound like I have it all together because the whole point of this is that James has been giving me the same talk that I have been giving other people, which is to make to embrace your new identity as an entrepreneur and um be forthcoming with the information about what you're doing, to be like as excited as you are all night up, researching and looking and like breaking your eyes in the middle of the night looking at stuff, like have that same kind of excitement when you're talking to people. Because I think sometimes when someone asks us what we do, you start to sort of like, oh, well, I'm just trying this new thing. I'm just working on this little idea. You sort of start to backpedal, and other people are excited for you. Like people are generally excited for you. I saw a thing that talked about haters, and I really don't think that there are as many haters as like the memes would have us believe. I think that there are actually way more people who are rooting for you, and sometimes rooting silently so you don't even realize that they are, but
Right.
are definitely rooting for you, and they don't know about your internal struggle, or that you're worried about whatever, or that you have, they don't know about it until you present it to them. And then once you present it to them, then all of a sudden they'll join you. They're like, oh, well, are you sure you should be doing this? Like, should you have quit your job? Like, you think you want to get another job, like a side, like a regular job, the quote unquote regular job,
Right.
to help you feel a little stronger in your, entrepreneurial endeavor. And then that will take you, you'll start following down that line where you might have been a little more secure until you opened up this line of thinking, right?
Right.
That anything was wrong, or that you were unsure in some way. And so I just wanted to say out loud that again, this is fear that comes in all the time. Like every time I find myself stalling on something, it's because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to put this idea out there because I'm not sure if anybody's going to like it, or I'm afraid that I don't really know how to do it because I've never done it before, or I'm afraid that I'm going to want to change my mind and then I'm going to come off flaky, right? Like that's my
Right.
big fear, that if I jump too soon and I do this and then tomorrow, like the Gemini that I am, I want to do something else, people are going to be like, yesterday you were, I don't know, yesterday you were making deodorant and today you're making commercials. And I'm like, yeah, that's how my brain works. Like,
It's
I don't know
it's
what to
it's a
tell
little
you.
bit of everything. And don't be afraid to sell yourself, right? You
Yes.
are and you will always be your best advocate, your best advertiser because you
Mm-hmm.
know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it could be very scary to speak in front
Mm-hmm.
of people or speak to people, but keep this in mind. Some of the greatest orators on this planet, people who have done masterful work at selling or telling a story or doing a TED talk and really communicating, doing what they call persuasive conversations that persuade people to think
Mm-hmm.
about what they're saying are people who are introverts, people
Right.
who are scared of being in public. Think of people like, for example, Steve Jobs. The man was
Mm-hmm.
mortified to be on stage, but the
Mm-hmm.
moment he took the stage, that man can sell water to a lake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so don't be afraid to talk about what it is that you are doing and do
Mm-hmm.
so in a way that makes it real, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Candace
Mm-hmm.
said, sometimes people ask, oh, well, what are you up to nowadays? Well, I'm just sort of kind of, no, this is what I'm doing. Hey, I'm working on this. I think you might like this. Would you like to hear about it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And be
Mm-hmm.
firm, be positive, because that's going to help you in the long run. And then you can go back to
Absolutely.
being an introvert when you're done with the conversation.
Right. Or go after they leave, then you can like
Right.
shed a tear if you were a little bit
Exactly.
scared, right? Like,
Exactly.
but you just hold it together as best as you can for the moment, and then you have your people that you like fall apart with. But
Hmm.
in general, and as I say that, there is a little bit around like making sure that you're being your most real self, your most authentic self as best you can.
Right.
But still, there is a time and a place for like falling apart, and you should probably
Hmm.
keep that to your inner circle because you should always present your best foot forward,
Right.
especially when you're in it's the startup phase or the idea or the launch phase. When you're in this early stage, you might only have yourself, right? Like, especially if you have some like out there idea and nobody's ever heard of it, you might have a steep hill to climb to get people on board, and so you really don't have any time to waste like worrying about it, or
Right.
convincing people that you don't know what you're talking about, right? Because you already have such a steep hill to climb to get people on board. So
And sometimes, things happen and come up and they're so at the time they seem so insignificant. Like I think about
yeah.
the person who stuck a piece of tape behind a piece of paper that he cut up into little squares and said, I just want you to stick here.
Mm.
Oh, maybe I'll just add some adhesive to the back of it and call it Post-its. And next thing you know, instant millionaire.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
tell you how many Post-it pads I buy over and over and over again, even though I know I have some in a drawer somewhere,
And I never use
um,
them.
and never use them.
Hmm.
And I mean, I use them, right? But the thing is, it's like that's how amazing things can be.
Hmm.
You never know when what you're working on is going to be the next big thing.
The next big thing. It's so true. That's so
Yeah.
true. The related thing to this, especially in terms of when we're talking about uh, selling what you're doing, right? Because even in regular conversation, there are better ways to talk about it, right? Persuasive or um,
Informative.
informative, or like at a confident, right? Like there are other
Right.
ways to say it, but at the baseline, you're like selling your idea, right?
Right.
And one of the things that trips me up, even though I try to help other people work through this, is that sometimes it feels like it's not the right time to talk about your thing, right? So, for example, we were in parent teacher conferences the other night, and the teachers all knew that I was a childcare provider. And so now it's starting to come up and people are asking me how it's going. I go, "Oh, I'm not doing it anymore. I closed the daycare." And then I stop, right? Because we were here to talk about report cards. We weren't here to talk about my business. And James goes, yeah, she closed the daycare because she started a marketing firm, a marketing agency, and a skincare line. And I was like, oh, I mean that too, but what about this report card, right? And it was it was an
Never waste an
interesting.
opportunity.
And that is basically what the whole thing comes down to, is that if you practice your pitch or your elevator pitch, your like, 4 or 5 word introduction to what you do, if you get it down to a science, then any opportunity can be one for you to share. And you don't have to feel like you're taking over the conversation or you're derailing the conversation or whatever, which is where I went immediately in my head. Oh, this lady doesn't want to know about EcoBody skincare, right? She wants to tell me about Lincoln. But it could have been a lost opportunity if I didn't have my amazing husband there to like interject,
Right.
because she was looking for gifts to buy her sorority line members, right? Like her line sisters. And I was like, oh yeah, we could do that. And I mean, afterwards, I felt super silly. And in the moment, I was scared, right? Because I
Right.
didn't want to come across pushy. But afterwards, it felt so silly to have missed this opportunity if it
Right.
weren't for James. So I would say the lesson that I've learned from there and that I'm going to practice myself is, again, make sure you have your super simple, this is what you do and how you do it and
Right.
where people can find you, talking
A-
point that
And
you can share.
I'll give you a very, very amazing little tip. So
Okay.
most phones that are coming out nowadays, the camera is an instant scanner, right? So when you open
Okay.
your regular camera to take a picture,
Mm-hmm.
it also serves as a scanner. That camera, if you snap a picture of a QR code, will automatically take you to a website that is
Mm-hmm.
associated with that QR code or with that barcode. And so what
Mm-hmm.
you can do is you can go and download a QR code creator, and it allows
Ooh.
you to create a QR code,
Mm-hmm.
and then you associate a website with it that will take them to your website. And always keep that in your photos. And whenever they say, what are you up to? You pop up the photo of that QR code and say, scan this, and it takes them to the website, and they have
Oh
all
my
the information they
gosh.
need. It is amazing.
That is so high tech. That is so, I
It's
like
pretty
that.
cool.
That's a really
And you don't
cool.
even need like a special little camera or scanner. Like literally, all you do is literally open your Photos app, and
Yep.
then you literally point to the QR code and you take the
And take
picture,
a
and it
picture.
automatically takes you to the website. And
Okay.
there's free apps that make QR codes for you, and then you can take those QR codes and you can put them on your promotional material. Right? You can put a nice little
Mm.
QR code in the bottom, just like you have the
Mm-hmm.
digital stream radio. If you had a
Mm-hmm.
QR code on the other side, people can scan this and get your show.
That is so true. Jakisa says it is so COVID friendly. That's a
Right?
great idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really great idea. I'm totally gonna look into that. And I hope other folks do. If I find a specific one, we'll link it in the show notes.
I'll bill you after the show.
I know, right? See, you come here for
Ah.
fun and tips, right?
So,
Like
and I
it.
figured,
I love
that's
it.
something that you can use for anything, right? Like, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to share family photos, you can create a QR code for a
Oh.
website where your family photos reside. You go to a family function, you can, hey,
Mm-hmm.
scan this. I want you to go see my kids, see what they're doing in their graduation photos, or here's our last family reunion. You can go here and find them there. And so you can do so many things with QR codes, and you can create them literally for anything.
That's so cool because I see them and I was just like, meh, I don't know what they're really for. Like I
Yeah.
always think they're for something specific, but that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could make your own.
Yeah. Yeah, there's apps all over the App Store. You can go and use programs. Some of them are free and work
Mm-hmm.
really well. You can export your
Mm-hmm.
QR code and put it as a JPEG on any material that you have, and boom, instant
I love
information.
it. I love it. I love it. That's a really cool small business tip,
Right?
entrepreneurs tip. Thank you, Tommy.
You're welcome, Charlie.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so that was what was mainly on my mind this week. Just that if you're not careful, you can miss some really awesome opportunities because you are afraid. and because you let that fear keep you from speaking up in lots of different situations, but definitely as a, entrepreneur, a budding idea maker, like whatever it is that you're doing, it's very easy to let fear get in the way and stop you from, being the next posted inventor, right? So I would encourage you, if you find yourself in these situations, and the same goes for speaking up about anything, but if you find yourself in these situations, if you can start to recognize what the triggers are, what, like, going into situations are the triggers that you don't really know the people there, that you think that there's that people aren't going to be interested in what you're talking about, or if you think that other people are doing cooler things than what you're doing, like, start to think about what your triggers are for what makes you dim your light, so that you can start to really focus on those things, acknowledge them, and then work to change them, because you really, really, really should not be dimming your light, especially now when this is a time, a time for innovation, a time where people are, QR codes now is a COVID friendly situation, right? Like,
Right.
this is the time where innovation is so important, and we absolutely need whatever little idea is knocking around in your head. The world probably needs it. So
Right.
definitely don't keep it from us.
And I wanted to also add to what you just said about, recognizing certain aspects of how things make you feel. One of the most important things about being able to do that, recognizing it, is that when it's happening in real time, you can pivot. It allows you to pivot in a way that can save a sale. Right. And so don't be afraid to really, like, study yourself and study how you interact with people, because you learn so much. And then once you do that, remember that, so that when it's happening in real time, you learn how to pivot, because that's important too. Right. There's nothing worse than being around a group of people and having one little thing go sour, and that changes your mood and your dynamic for the rest of the group, or for the rest of the time that you are with that particular group. So just make sure that you recognize where you fall short, so that you can pivot and always be successful.
So I remember in one of my former, job lives, that's, you have a if then situation. So it's like, if this happens, then this will happen. So if this is said, or if this is what the situation is, then I will say this, right? And if you start practicing that, it sounds ridiculous to practice ahead of time, but if you can start practicing that when the stakes are low, then when the stakes are high, you'll be able to manage it better. And here Jackie says, words at the proper time. She's been scared that I'm really going to do what I'm blessed to do. I needed to hear this. I'm so glad you were here.
Jackie, you got this. You got this, girl.
You got this. I'm convinced that there is magic in our. So Jaquise is my cousin, on my mom's side, and I'm just convinced that there is magic in our bloodline. So many things happen, magic, the universe, prayer, like all of the things. I think that they're all the same, but I like to think about it as magic, and things just keep falling into place. They just keep falling into place all around me, for me and for people around me. So, like, whatever it is that you're working on, Jaquise, just, like, go for it, because there's absolutely magic in you. Okay, so as we wrap up, speaking of magic and speaking of promoting yourself, because like, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? I wanted to make sure that I let you all know that on the EchoBody website, we have launched our gift sets for their gift sets for the holidays, but also just for anybody that you want to send a little bit of self-care to. My favorite is that 3 people bought them today for themselves. And one of my friends said, I got to treat myself good, right? You just got to treat yourself sometimes.
Where's the QR code so I can scan and get the information?
I know. Oh my God. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. You just told me about it.
Or where's your graphic? Show me what you're
Listen,
talking about. Oh.
post-production.
Mm.
But in real life, what it looks like is a beautifully, let's talk about the stuff inside first. So it's a 4-piece gift set from the Echo Body line. It might be a little too bright. So this is going to be our lotion, our organic hemp lotion, our organic hemp face and body serum, which is an
Yes.
amazing serum. I love to use it at nighttime, and I also use it in the day because I don't wear. Can you see it? I don't wear a
Mm-hmm.
ton of makeup all the time, and so this just gives me like a nice little dewy glow that I love. And they come in a lavender scent and a mahogany scent, and mahogany is our name for citrus. So if you're into citrus, it's an orange bergamot lemon scent. That is what the mahogany flavor is.
I love
A
that word,
citrus
bergamot.
bergamot. Yeah, it's so fancy.
Mm.
So you can choose this in either the lavender scent or the mahogany scent, which is citrus. And then it also comes, piece number 3 is our popular and special deodorant cream. This is our special formula deodorant cream, which I still love and I'm still so super proud of. So if you haven't tried our deo cream, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. And then it also includes the the natural bamboo applicator. In case you are not interested, sometimes people have long fingernails and you can't get into the jar of deodorant. This helps you be able to sort of take it out and apply it. And then because it's the holidays and because I am here to help you, it comes in a beautiful keepsake box, which of course the ribbon fell off, so I couldn't get it to you today, but it comes in a beautiful keepsake box that is nicely wrapped. So you can just like hit click and order and send to your favorite somebody or to yourself. And I will make sure that it is nicely wrapped and beautiful and gorgeous for them.
That's amazing.
So definitely go to our website on echobody.com and check our gift sets. Our special Black Friday sale. It is $58 for all of them and the gift wrapping. And so definitely run over because the gift box, the keepsake box is in limited quantities. Your girl can't do keepsake boxes all the time. So make sure that you head over and get it before we run out of those keepsake boxes. So that's what's going on over on Echo Body. And then what is, oh, yes, Jaquise, it's nothing but love. Love, love, love. Oh my God, come on the show and cook something for us. Oh, I can't wait.
Mm.
I see it already. Make it happen. Make it happen. Okay, so that is what I wanted to say tonight. Again, don't dim your light. Keep shining and make sure you bring it to us, whatever it is, we want to see it. Okay? You good, Tommy?
I think I am. I want to wish everyone, I don't
Happy
know
holidays.
what it's going to be like next week. Thursday,
Is
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. We might come to
So,
you earlier in the week. We'll
so
see.
we might do that. And if we don't, then I would like to take an opportunity to wish everyone a very happy and healthy, COVID-free Thanksgiving. And if
Yes.
we don't see you, then we'll see you on the other side of the holiday.
Yes, and I'm going to go out on a limb, on the extra limb, and say if you can keep your groups tight, if you can keep your Thanksgiving celebrations as tight as possible, meaning like the folks you live with all the time, that is probably the best idea if we
Hmm.
ever want to see another chance of getting to really go out. The numbers are rising here in Connecticut, where
Right.
we've had pretty low numbers for a while, but they are rising, and some cities are starting to shut down again. So
Right.
definitely be careful. I would be remiss if we didn't remind folks how important it is to social distance and wear a face covering and keep everybody safe. So, you know,
Agreed.
uh, I think
Agreed.
some people are like, oh, it's our last Thanksgiving. I mean, it very well could be if
It
you're
could
not
be.
careful. It could
Exactly.
be.
So, one thing I
So
wanted to
be
point out,
careful.
just think about it this way. If you don't do what you're supposed to do and try to really be careful, seeing someone in Thanksgiving could mean that you might not have them for Christmas. So
Hmm.
just
Be careful.
do
Be
what you need to
careful.
do.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, thank you so much for being here every week. Every week that we're here, thank you so much for always coming back. You can find us on all of the places. We are streaming the show. Even though we are now rebranded as the Candice Dormon Show, it is still the same old us, and we are still streaming on all the places where we were before. So find us on those platforms, but definitely the replay of the video will be on YouTube. So head over to YouTube at Candice Dormon and subscribe to us there so that you don't miss the show when we post it. All right, guys. So until next time. This show is produced by Emlin Group Productions. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.